Hi guys, this is Misty from the Book Rat, and it's time for Book Chat. Today we're talking about series versus standalone books, and this is a little bit of a tricky subject for me because on the one hand I feel like I have a very straightforward reaction. I prefer standalones, but on the other hand some of my favorite books are series, so it's kind of an odd one. There are people in my book club who every book we read say, "Is this a series?" For me, I think I really respect an author who writes standalones, and a publishing house that's willing to publish standalones. Pretty much everything these days seems to be a series, and sometimes it seems completely like a marketing gimmick. You know, it sometimes seems like publishing houses will take a book that was intended as a standalone and say, "This is good, this is going to sell well, now we want you to write 2 more." And what ends up resulting is either books that just don't live up to that first book, or endings that are hacked off, mid-scene so that there's a cliffhanger and you have to find out what's going to happen next by buying book 2. This is a personal pet peeve of mine. I believe that every book should work on its own and just be whole and complete in itself. Now there are notable exceptions to this that are cliffhangers that I ended up liking. Obviously the Hunger Games are all cliffhanger books, but I think they work, and yes, I do think that part of it is a little bit of a marketing strategy, but more so I think that it just worked for the ominous tone of the story. Another series that has cliffhanger endings is the Chaos Walking series. This is book 3, but it was the easiest to grab. These are insane cliffhangers, but they work for the story, and though I can see why they would irritate people, I really liked them. I just finished a book with a cliffhanger. It's Cinder by Marissa Meyer. There are going to be 4 books in this series, The Lunar Chronicles. And in this case, I like the cliffhanger, partly because I know that the 4 stories are going to be one overarching story, each one focusing on a different fairy tale being retold, but they're all interconnected. And so there's no way that you could really wrap it up without making it seem lesser a part of the whole story. But books like that are the exception. I think a lot of times cliffhanger endings really do just seem like a gimmick, and they seem like they are pandering, or maybe it's a product of all of the people that have grown up on TV series that all have cliffhanger endings. I'm not sure what it is, but whatever it is, I'm not a huge fan. But of course, not all series are cliffhanger books. You've got plenty that are just straight up series. Many books all on the same theme. You get things like the Laurel K. Hamilton books where there are 25 of them turned out, and they're all interconnected, and you might have a cliffhanger here or there, but for the most part you're just going to be reading the same book over and over, and you know that going in. And I think these are fun to read sometimes, and it is nice sometimes to know what you're getting into, or to come into an established story. And then of course you have companion novels where they're not necessarily series, but they all are connected in some way. They're all in the same world. So things like Sisters Red and Sweetly, they're not sequential. Sweetly does not follow Sisters Red. They don't necessarily impact each other, but they're definitely part of the same world. So do you call those standalones, or do you call those a series? I call them a series, but they are technically standalones, and I think, as far as I'm concerned, that's sort of how I would prefer a series, because it's all complete, it's contained, I can read one book without having to read the others, and that's nice. But I really do respect standalones, partly because so much attention has to be focused by the author. They really do have to have a complete story, and have everything thought out, and all of their ends ready to wrap up. Or they have to make that concrete decision to not wrap everything up, because there's not going to be another book to explain away any plot holes. I also appreciate it just because it's so rare now. Series are what publishing houses are going for, because that's what's making them all the money. And some books just wouldn't be the same as a series. There's something about this one story not being diluted over, 3 or 4 books. Things like Jellicoe Road, this wouldn't work as a series. If you split this up into 2 stories, and I can see some publishers wanting to do that, it just would not be the same, and it wouldn't have the effect that it has. Sunshine by Robin McKinley she has been very adamant about this being a standalone book. She's written blog posts on no, there will not be a sequel. I'm gratified that you loved it so much that you want more, but this is it, folks. I really respect authors that tend to only write standalones, so people like Brena Jovanoff. She has 2 books out so far, and each are definitely their own books. Both books, this and The Space Between, I could easily see someone trying to turn into a series. So I respect when an author is able to say, this did well, I enjoyed writing it, but now I'm moving on. I think partly you tend to think of series as a little fluffier, because they are drawn out, and because there is going to be an opportunity in the future to explain any plot holes in the past, you don't necessarily always get the strongest storytelling. Also because things tend to be pulpy in series, things where you're getting, 15 or 20 books or more in the series, that tends to be called fluff. There's no denying that some books that are series and that are even cliffhangers are definitely not fluff. Name of the Wind, not fluff. Daughter of Smoke and Bone, not fluff. Oryx and Crake, not fluff. So it really just depends on which way you go with it, I guess. And I guess when you really think about it, even standalone books by certain authors can tend to feel like a series. I'm pretty sure every book that Nicholas Sparks has ever written is really just the same book with different character names. Same of Danielle Steele, same of John Grisham, same of James Patterson. They are all essentially the same book, and that's what readers want. You pick up a Danielle Steele book knowing exactly what you're getting, and that's why you're picking up a Danielle Steele book. Same of the countless other authors who write standalones that really could essentially be a series because they're all the same. They all feel interconnected. So now my questions to you. Do you think that you like series books, or do you like standalones, and why is that? Are there books that you wish had just been a standalone, and are there books that you really wish would be made into a series and you don't think are going to be? Which do you find yourself reading more of, and which are you more drawn to? So are you that person that you won't pick it up if you know it's a series, or you'll only read the first book just to get a taste of it if it's a series? Do you wait until the entire thing is out before you'll read a series? So I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. As always, you are welcome to do your own vlog and link it up as a response, or write a blog post with your thoughts and link it up on thebookrat.com. You can, of course, take a different tack and not talk about the pros and cons of series versus standalones, but you could tell us about your favorite series or about your favorite standalones. Up to you what you do. And, of course, you're welcome to just tell us in the comments. If you want to start preparing for next week's book chat, we're going to be talking about our most anticipated books of the coming year, so what you're looking forward to most in 2012. As always, happy reading!